So, I just finished watching Marvel Zombies, and I'm going to talk about it. Personally, I think it was a pretty darn good series, so I'm going to talk about the good, the bad. I'm basically just going to go through every episode, which, by the way, why are they all called episode 1, 2, 3, 4? I think that's a bit lazy, but whatever. Anyway, so I'm just going to talk about things throughout all the episodes. Hey, I think that's good animation. I know people don't like the what if animation style, but I think what they do with the style is actually pretty good. Yeah, sure, some of the characters can be static, like whenever they open their mouth, they're like, no, it looks so silly. But then it has beautiful backgrounds, and at some points, great animation. I think, I think it's just the Eyes of Wakanda animation. Oh, it's not the Eyes of Wakanda animation. I think it's just slightly better than the what if animation. I think it's right below X-Men 97, like by a mile for best animated show, MCU show. But yeah. So the next thing we'll bring up is kind of a negative. I don't like the tone a lot. That is why I don't like the What If Marvel Zombies episode, which revisionist history. Why are people liking that episode? Anyways, yeah, I don't like that episode because of its tone. I think it has a bad tone. It's too comedical. This show, I think, narrows it down a bit. It lets serious moments settle, especially in the finale. It's pretty serious. It's, I would say, 75% serious compared to the 25% comedical. I think it should have been like 90% serious, 10% comedical, but it's better than what would be 50-50 in the original What If episode. Here's another kind of issue. They kind of do it a bit by giving Wanda, which I will say I like her as a villain, but I think this is truly a sorely missed opportunity. I get it, they can't do it because they didn't do it in the What If episode, but like, who cares? Based off What If, Wanda's dead, so you're clearly not following that. But anyways, yeah, my biggest problem is they don't follow what makes Marvel Zombies interesting in the comics, and that's because they still have their personalities. They just have this growing hunger. That's why it's called The Hunger. They are themselves. They're just, more wrathful, more different. And, well, I am glad that this show adapts, kinda, the ending of What If Marvel Zombies, because at the end of Marvel Zombies, it's not Kundra, I believe. Well, I forget. It's like, doesn't the Watcher split into two universes where one universe just eats the other? And it just completely nulls out? Like, it's not a happy ending. I'm glad this show followed it as well. Even though I do think it needed maybe an episode or two more. So, let's get into individual episodes. Episode 1. I thought it was pretty good. I think the first, 10-15 minutes were a bit off. Then I think the last, 10-15 minutes were actually pretty great. Blade Knight is great. I love Blade Knight. Blade Knight's great. Kamala, I do think is actually a pretty solid protagonist. Yelena, Red Guardian, and whatever the mother's name is, they're fine. I didn't really care that the mom died, but whatever. Overall, I think that was the best cast, because Kamala is a good protagonist, Blade is a good character, and I do think they actually got some of the voice actors to return, which, by the way, I'm just gonna mention, when the actors return to voice them, it's pretty good. Like, for example, I was so glad that they didn't just get a replacement for Elizabeth Olsen, because I was about to say, that would not be good. It was okay for some. Like, Spider-Man's voice actor, I think he does a good job, even though he's not Tom Holland. But, Khonshu? What was that? I think sometimes when they just, when they get in a stand-in because they can't get the celebrity, it's not the best. That Khonshu was the real only one where I'm just like, oh, that's not good. But, anyways, and I guess Valkyrie, but Valkyrie was fine. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. So, yeah, I'd say episode 1's pretty good. I think it has a nice ending. And the Goats versus Blade fight, I think should have lasted longer, but it was good. Overall, solid episode. Episode 2, I think, is the worst of the series. Still pretty solid. I think it's good. And Namor and the ending's cool. But, like, that's kind of these first 2 episodes. The ending's great. The first, it's a bit shaky. Except I think the first part is even more shaky. I never expected to say this. I don't like the Shang-Chi half. Awkwafina's character didn't annoy me too much in Shang-Chi. I thought she was fine. She annoys me here. Jimmy Woo, I would never think I would say this. Get him out of this project. I'm sorry. He is not fit. Him, Awkwafina, and mainly just the Shang-Chi cast in general is probably my main problem with the tone. I think they whack it out of sense, just having half of their stuff be comedical. I'm like, why? You are a zombie, Shang-Chi. Katie, you guys have been living in this post-apocalyptic world, and you're this. I don't like it. Jimmy Woo, he was great in WandaVision. He was good in the Ant-Man series. This is not the series for him to be in. Like, seriously. I'm glad he died. Death Dealer, I don't care about the running joke about Death Dealer and Jimmy Woo. I don't care. I don't like them in this show. Anyways. Yeah. That's really my opinion. I just think the Shang-Chi supporting cast was not the best. But I do think Ms. Marvel's supporting cast was pretty good. So does Redeem It. And Shang-Chi wasn't that bad. As himself. Don't like that Awkwafina made the entire way. Anyways, episode 3 opens up with a bang. We finally get a resolution 4 years later. Yeah, 4 years. You know that? 4 years later to the What If Marvel Zombies episode. Thank God. And it's actually pretty cool. Their fight with Thanos was neat. I know people were like, why did Stormbreaker just disappear from the power plant? It didn't. Watch the full series. Anyway, I think it's pretty cool. Well, Spider-Man narrating. I do think Spider-Man deserved more screen time. But, yeah, I think it was pretty cool start to the episode. Them going to Asgard and Wanda being there and her being the Queen of the Dead. Honestly, I think Wanda's a pretty good villain. Wanda's a great MCU character. I think she's a pretty good villain. And again, I'm very glad they brought back Elizabeth Olsen to do this. I didn't give ratings for the other 2 episodes, but I guess I give them both like a 7. I give first one 7.7, second one 7.5. This one I think is better. I think it's kind of great. I think the finale is probably my favorite episode. But this episode's also pretty great. And Thor is cool because he's Thor. And the death of Rocket and Groot was so sad. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, so I'll give this episode like an 8.3. I think it was pretty great. Now, the finale. I think it was pretty great. I really like how it was basically this constant battle. Infinity Hulk is dope as crap. I love him. He's the GOAT. Wanda and her undead army were also pretty good. And then the team were pretty cool. I don't get why when Wanda was taking Infinity Hulk's power, they needed to slow-mo everything. I mean, a bit weird. There are some, I think this is the best looking episode. I think it actually has pretty solid animation. But there were some a bit off moments. But overall, I do think it has a really good animation. And I really love the end of just, they lost. They didn't win. Wanda just put Kamala in this fake illusion world. And the zombies are still out there. They lost. And I really do love that ending. I like that they actually lose. And they don't win. It's a grimmer ending that you don't really see in most MCU projects. Also, I think the twist that the Nova Corps, I know this was last episode, that they knew about this and they're just like, yeah, we're not gonna do anything. You're getting quarantined, bro. I think that was a good twist. Infinity Hulk, I guess that's really cool. Overall, this is a really cool episode. I think it's about like an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's pretty great. So, now that I've concluded all my episode ratings, let's see what I think this show is. Personally, I think it's pretty good. I think it just needs a bit more time and stuff like that. I think that would have helped it, definitely. Like, if it had maybe an episode or two, more Spider-Man. I think there also could have been other characters. Like, I think there could have been cooler zombies and stuff. Like, the Captain Marvel versus Icarus thing, that was pretty cool. And, yeah, I feel like there just could be more, especially with the zombies. I do think they should have just retained their original personalities. Because I don't like how it's just zombies, but Marvel characters and their powers, and they're not keeping their personalities. If you get what I mean by that. I think they should have just done that instead. And I think it's a bit off to not have that. I feel like it could just be any other show. It just happens to be superhero zombies, and it's not Marvel character zombies. That's my biggest problem with it. Is that they miss the potential of the original Marvel zombies, and the tone's a bit off. But overall, I think it's actually pretty great. Not great, but I think it's pretty good. Currently, Phase 6 is going pretty well. Fantastic Four First Steps, I think, was one of the best MCU films. It's probably in my top 10. I know I wasn't the biggest fan of Eyes of Wakanda, but a lot of people are. And plus, I didn't hate it. I just thought it was okay. And then this show's pretty good. Look, and Wonder Man looks promising. So, hopefully, the rest of the projects are pretty good. Anyways, yeah. Personally, I would give Marvel Zombies like a 7.8, 7.9 out of 10. And yeah, that's my conclusion. Bye.